Hey everyone! We are working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content and it is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button right now as we proceed. Subscribe to this channel right now because we have a full, packed, thoroughly entertaining spring training breakdown to get through today, and every single story on the agenda has genuine implications for how this Blue Jays roster looks and performs when the games actually start to matter. We are going to talk about a player who spent all of last year completely out of professional baseball and has come back looking like an entirely different human being while also hitting absolute rockets in his first spring appearances. We are going to talk about a pitcher who got roughed up in a spring training outing and what it actually means for his future on this roster when you look past the ugly surface-level numbers. We are going to address the Eric Lauer situation with the specific statistical context that makes the arbitration outcome genuinely frustrating to examine. And we are going to make the case, clearly and without reservation, that John Schneider is about to get an extension that he has completely and thoroughly earned through one of the most remarkable managerial seasons this organization has witnessed since the championship era of the early 90s. Let us get into all of it, because there is a lot of ground to cover and every piece of it matters. Let us start with the story that has the most immediate feel-good energy attached to it, because after a week of injury news and roster drama and complicated trade speculation, feel-good energy is something Blue Jays fans deserve to experience. Eloy Jimenez did not play in the major leagues in 2024. He bounced around. He dealt with injuries. He accumulated the kind of organizational baggage that follows a player who has shown undeniable, statistically documented elite ability throughout his career without ever translating it into the sustained big league production that the talent always seemed to promise. The Chicago White Sox years generated excitement and then frustration. The injury history generated concern. And when the Blue Jays quietly brought him into camp on a low-cost opportunity contract, the reaction from a portion of the fanbase was appropriately cautious, interesting low-risk gamble, probably nothing, next story. And then Jimenez stepped to the plate in his first spring training game and hit 2 baseballs so hard that the numbers make you stop and read them twice. Exit velocity on the first hit, nearly 100 miles per hour. Exit velocity on the second hit, 104.5 miles per hour, resulting in a home run that reportedly had people in the stands doing the thing people do when a ball is hit that hard, which is immediately stop whatever they were doing and watch it land. 2 for 3. A double and a home run. Hard contact on both balls. In a game that included real major league arms and major league hitters on the other side. Now, the appropriate and intellectually honest caveat must be applied here with full sincerity. It is spring training, the sample size is 3 at-bats. And we have all watched players look like future Hall of Famers in February before disappearing completely by June. The White Sox observers on social media have opinions about Eloy Jimenez that are rooted in first-hand experience and are not simply dismissed because a couple of spring training hits looked pretty. We hear all of that. And we are also looking at the Baseball Savant percentile rankings from 2022 that show a player who, when healthy and engaged, sat in the upper 90th percentile in expected slugging, average exit velocity, barrel percentage, and hard hit percentage. Those are not the numbers of a player who accidentally compiles impressive raw statistics. Those are the numbers of an elite power hitter whose body kept betraying him at the worst possible moments. He is 29 years old. His body has been completely transformed, leaner, more athletic, visibly different in ways that multiple credible reporters in camp have been documenting. And the World Baseball Classic is about to take a significant number of established Blue Jays regulars out of camp, creating a runway of repetitions and visibility for Jimenez that could not have been more perfectly timed if someone had designed it specifically to maximize his opportunity to make an impression. The realistic upside remains a lefty masher off the bench who comes up in platoon situations against right-handed pitching and makes opposing bullpens genuinely uncomfortable. The potential upside, if everything clicks and the body holds together, is something considerably more exciting than that. Either version of Eloy Jimenez is worth paying attention to as spring continues. Now let us talk about Yariel Rodriguez. And let us do so with the intellectual honesty that his situation actually deserves rather than the reflexive concern that a rough spring outing naturally generates. He gave up 6 earned runs on 5 hits in 2 innings against the Boston Red Sox, Including multiple hits off a splitter he was apparently integrating into his arsenal more heavily than he historically has. That is not a good outing by any objective measure. It is also spring training, which means pitchers are doing exactly what spring training is designed for, experimenting with pitches they want to add or refine, working on the edges of their arsenal without the competitive consequences that make those experiments unavailable during the regular season. The splitter work is interesting context. If Yariel Rodriguez has decided that his four-seam and slider combination, the approach that produced a 3.08 ERA out of the bullpen last year, needs an additional put-away pitch to be more effective against the caliber of hitter he is going to face in meaningful games, then a spring training outing where he throws the new pitch repeatedly and gets hit around is not a failure. It is research. It is finding out what works and what does not work before the results count toward anything that matters. His stuff grades out as genuinely elite in some metrics. 95th percentile in breaking run value is a number that commands respect regardless of what the ERA looks like, and the question surrounding him has never been about whether the raw material is there. It has always been about consistency, command, and finding the identity that allows the talent to show up reliably across a full season of professional baseball appearances. The path most likely to get him there runs through AAA, where he can work on these refinements without the pressure of a major league role, and back up to the big leagues when the Blue Jays need him in a spot start or bullpen capacity. The contract still has 2 years remaining. The organization is not going anywhere with him. This spring training start is a data point, not a verdict. The Eric Lauer conversation continues to be one of the most genuinely compelling and emotionally complicated subplots of this entire spring, and the specific statistical framing that gets applied to his 2025 season makes the arbitration outcome more frustrating the more clearly you examine it. Here is the number that demands acknowledgement: 3.18 ERA across 104 innings. As a starter, he posted a 3.77. Coming out of the bullpen, the numbers were even better, reliever splits that placed him in an elite tier of left-handed relievers in the American League. A 2.2 WAR contribution. A Swiss Army knife utility that gave John Schneider flexibility that very few roster pieces at his salary level can credibly provide. He asked for $5.75 million in arbitration. He received 4.4. That is a gap of $1.35 million on a player who produced a 2.2 WAR season. In a market where mediocre free agent pitchers sign for $8 or $9 million a year without blinking, paying Eric Lauer $4.4 million for what he delivered last year is not just good business for the Blue Jays organization, it is a transaction that raises genuine fairness questions that Lauer himself has now raised publicly and that the statistical evidence comfortably supports. 9 out of 10 trust level, as the analysis was framed, is not overstatement. It is an accurate reflection of what watching Lauer pitch in meaningful situations actually feels like. The hope is that 2026 gives him the starts and innings he needs to make the arbitration case that last year's bullpen usage prevented him from making. If it does, he gets his money next cycle. If Scherzer arrives and complicates things, the situation gets messier in ways nobody in the organization particularly wants to navigate. But as of right now, Eric Lauer is a Blue Jay, he is throwing well, and he deserves to be treated like the reliable, genuinely valuable pitcher his track record confirms he is. And now let us talk about John Schneider, because this extension conversation deserves a full and proper treatment rather than a casual mention in the context of other stories. His record as Blue Jays manager sits at 303 wins and 257 losses. He led this team through one of the most dramatic single-season turnarounds in recent franchise history, following a 74-win 2024 campaign that had serious voices calling for his job, and produced a World Series appearance that delivered the most significant October baseball this city has experienced in over 30 years. He finished second in Manager of the Year voting, a result that many observers considered a robbery given what he accomplished with this roster. He developed a pitching staff culture that produced one of the most electric young starters in the sport in Trey Savage. He navigated injuries, lineup construction challenges, roster uncertainty, and the specific psychological complexity of managing a group of players who needed to believe in themselves again after a humbling 2024. And he did all of it while being, by every available account, Exactly the kind of manager that players and coaches want to play and work for, demanding without being difficult, analytically sophisticated without being robotically beholden to the spreadsheet, and deeply invested in the individual development and well-being of every person in his clubhouse. The extension talks are real. The mutual desire to make it happen is real. And the number, when it arrives, is going to reflect the market reality of what a manager who has been to the World Series and finished second in Manager of the Year voting commands in 2026. It will be substantial. It will be deserved. And it will be the appropriate organizational signal that the leadership core that built something genuinely special last year is being retained and rewarded for what it produced. Spring training is only a few games old and already the storylines are delivering everything that makes this time of year so addictive for baseball fans. The Eloy Jimenez moonshots. The Yariel Rodriguez rebuild. The Lauer arbitration drama. The Schneider extension. A Kazuma Okamoto debut. A Ricky Tiedemann health update. A Max Scherzer pursuit that seems to be moving toward resolution. All of it happening simultaneously, all of it generating information that matters, all of it building toward the roster that will take the field on opening day and try to do what last year's team came agonizingly close to doing. Drop your hottest takes in the comments right now. Are you fully on the Eloy Jimenez bandwagon after those spring training numbers, or are you maintaining healthy skepticism? Do you think the Blue Jays owe Eric Lauer better than what the arbitration process delivered? And how much do you think John Schneider is going to make on his extension? Give us your number. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel if you have not already, and share this video with every Blue Jays fan in your world because spring training season means we are doing this every single day. Let us go Blue